Have you ever stopped to think that maybe the problem isn't that you don't know about God's love, but that you've never really experienced it? You know that difference between reading a recipe for chocolate cake and actually tasting a warm slice with the chocolate melting in your mouth? It's exactly that. You can know everything about God's love, have heard 1,000 sermons, read dozens of books, but never have felt that love touching the most broken parts of you. And here's the paradox that confuses so many women of faith. The more you chase after God trying to be good enough, the more distant He seems. The more you strive to deserve it, the emptier you feel inside. But the moment you stop trying to earn it and simply open your hands, something shifts. The tears that fell from exhaustion transform into tears of comfort. The pain you carried alone becomes a story of redemption. The emptiness no one saw finally finds its fulfillment. Before we continue, if you feel like this conversation is for you, share it with that friend who also needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning of a journey that will change how you experience God in your everyday life. Today, I don't want to teach you another prayer technique or give you one more verse to memorize. Today, I want to take you to a place where you can feel deeply, viscerally, the sweet love of God. You know those days when you wake up and already feel the weight before your feet hit the floor. The to-do list forms in your mind before you even brush your teeth. Make breakfast, check the lunch boxes, make sure everyone's ready for school, answer those work emails, that phone call you've been avoiding for days. And in the midst of all that, you try to squeeze in 5 minutes with God, as if He were just another item on your endless list. But what if I told you that true faith isn't something you add to your routine, but something that transforms all of it? It's like opening a window in a stuffy room. Suddenly, fresh air floods every corner. You keep doing the same things, but now they have a different flavor, a different texture, a purpose you didn't see before. Think about this with me. You're there in the kitchen, coffee getting cold in your mug while you make waffles for the kids, and suddenly you realize this isn't just another chaotic breakfast. This is a sacred moment. You're feeding people God entrusted to you. You're creating eternal memories. You're building a home where God's presence dwells. The woman of faith isn't the one who manages to hide from the world for hours to have her perfect quiet time. The woman of faith is the one who learns to find God between the pots and pans, in the middle of tasks, even in the tears that fall while she's folding laundry at 11 at night, because it was the only quiet moment of the day. It's in those small intervals, between chaos and silence, between rushing and rest, that something profound happens. A verse you read weeks ago suddenly comes back to your mind exactly when you need it most. A worship song plays on the car radio, and you feel that tightness in your chest, that sense that you're not alone. A friend texts you out of the blue saying she was praying for you, and you realize God was hearing that prayer you couldn't even put into words. That's living faith. It's not pretty. It's not organized. You can't post it on Instagram with a perfect filter. But it's real. It's like the warmth of the sun you feel on your skin without touching it. You know it's there, because it transforms everything. And when that happens, when you truly feel God's presence in the midst of life's mess, something inside you changes. You're no longer just surviving the day. You're living in communion with the one who created you, who knows you better than you know yourself, who loves you more than you can comprehend. But here's the truth no one tells you. Hearing God's voice when you have 3 kids screaming, a washing machine making a weird noise, and your phone ringing non-stop is, perhaps, one of the greatest challenges of modern faith. How many times have you sat down to pray, and your mind immediately started making a grocery list? How many times have you opened your Bible and realized you read the same verse 3 times without absorbing a word, because you were mentally planning dinner? Hearing God's voice isn't an exercise of the ear. It's an exercise of the soul. And here's the secret that changed my life. God isn't competing with the world's noise. He's speaking through it. Think about those days when you're driving to pick up the kids from school. Your mind full of worries. Your son's behavior in class. That bill that's due tomorrow. That difficult conversation you need to have with your husband. And suddenly, in the middle of all that mental noise, a phrase cuts through your thoughts like an arrow. Daughter, I take care of you. You didn't hear it with your ears. No one else heard it. But you know, it was him. It's as if someone called you, but the call came from inside your own heart. Or that moment when you're in line at the grocery store, exhausted after an endless day, and your eyes fall on that sign with a Bible verse that seems to have been placed there just for you. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Coincidence? Or is God literally speaking to you through a sign in the cereal aisle? The truth is that when you start paying attention, when you tune your heart to the right frequency, you realize He never stopped speaking. The problem was never God's silence. The problem was the noise inside you. And here's something that will set you free. You don't need an hour of perfect silence to hear God. You don't need a beautiful prayer room or an impeccable devotional moment. You just need a heart willing to listen, even if it's for 30 seconds while you wait for the water to boil, even if it's in the shower at 6 in the morning, even if it's lying in bed late at night when everyone's finally asleep. The mother who learns to hear in the midst of noise discovers something revolutionary. The shepherd's voice is gentle, but it's persistent. It doesn't shout to compete with the chaos. It whispers until you finally stop to listen. And when you hear, when you truly hear, everything changes. Because hearing is just the beginning. Once you learn to hear, you begin to see. And when you begin to see, the whole world gains a new dimension. There's a moment in the faith journey that's like taking off foggy glasses after years of thinking your vision was perfect. Suddenly, you see things that were always there, but you never noticed. You know that situation that kept you awake night after night? That problem that seemed to have no solution? That fear that consumed you inside? And then one day, you look back and realize God was there all along. He was working when you thought nothing was happening. He was moving pieces you didn't even know existed. He was answering prayers you hadn't even verbalized yet. Seeing with the eyes of faith is this. It's seeing God's hand where before you only saw coincidence. It's perceiving purpose where you only saw pain. It's recognizing providence where you thought it was just luck. That phone call that came at the exact right moment. That unexpected money that showed up when you didn't know how you'd pay the bill. That friend who reached out to you on the very day you most needed to talk. That hug from your child that came like a balm when you were about to fall apart. The world didn't change. Your life didn't become perfect. But the way you see all of it did. It's as if someone turned on the lights in a room you thought was all grey. And suddenly you see the colours that were always there. And you know what the most beautiful part is? When you start seeing God at work, you can't stop seeing Him. It's like when you buy a new car and suddenly notice that model is everywhere. It's not that more cars of that model appeared. It's that your eyes were trained to notice them. When your spiritual eyes open, you begin to see God in the simplest details. In your child's smile in the morning. In the cup of coffee your husband made for you without you asking. In the sunset you almost missed because you were looking at your phone screen. In the strength you find to get up and try again after a devastating day. You see Him in daily provision. Not just in the money that comes, but in the creativity that emerges when the money doesn't come. You see Him in the patience you manage to have when, honestly, you should have exploded 3 hours ago. You see Him in the hope that insists on sprouting in your heart, even when logic says there's no more reason for hope. And then something incredible happens. Seeing transforms into feeling. Because the more you see God's faithfulness, the more you begin to feel His presence. It's as if the air around you changed texture. It's as if an invisible fragrance filled not just the environment, but your own heart. Have you ever walked into a house and immediately knew something was different? Not because you saw something, but because you felt it. Maybe it was the smell of cookies baking. Maybe it was that sense of peace that some places simply have. Maybe it was something you can't even name, but you know it's there. Christ's presence is like that. It can't be explained. It's felt. And when you feel it, everything changes. It's like that moment when you're at your absolute limit. You've already yelled more than you wanted to, cried in the bathroom so no one would see, questioned whether you're being a good mother, a good wife, a good Christian. You're exhausted not just in body, but in soul. And then, out of nowhere, an inexplicable peace wraps around you. Not because the problem disappeared, not because you found the solution, but because, somehow, you know you're not alone. That's the fragrance of Christ's presence. It's that comfort that arrives without you asking. It's that strength you find when you were certain you had nothing left inside you. It's that hope that blooms in barren ground. The woman who learns to feel God's presence discovers that even the most mundane tasks can become sacred. Preparing dinner becomes an act of worship because you're feeding people with love. Giving the kids a bath transforms into ministry because you're caring for eternal souls. Even that endless pile of dirty laundry gains meaning because you're serving your family the same way Christ served us. And you know what's most beautiful? This fragrance is contagious. When you carry Christ's presence, people around you feel it. Your children may not know how to explain it, but they notice when you're connected with God. Your husband notices the difference. Even that neighbor you barely know senses something different about you. It's as if you become a living fragrance, not of the expensive perfumes you wear on special occasions, but of Christ's own fragrance. And this fragrance transforms environments. It changes atmospheres. It brings peace where there was anxiety, hope where there was despair, love where there was coldness. But there's something even deeper that happens when you feel God's presence so tangibly. You're no longer content with just feeling it from afar. You want more. You want closeness. You want intimacy. You want communion so deep it's like sitting at a table with someone you love and sharing not just words, but life. There's a moment in the faith walk that's like tasting the first sip of cold water after hours in the heat. You didn't know you were so thirsty until you felt that water going down your throat and refreshing your entire being. Communion with Christ is exactly that. It's when faith stops being just belief and becomes sustenance. It's when God's presence stops being something you seek and becomes the very air you breathe. Think with me about that woman in Song of Solomon who says, "I sat down under his shadow with great delight, and his fruit was sweet to my taste." Song of Solomon 2-3. Can you imagine that? Sitting in the beloved's shadow and finally resting. Finally stopping the running. Finally letting him feed you instead of trying to feed yourself. How many times have you tried to find satisfaction in the wrong things? In others' recognition, in an organized house, in perfectly behaved children, in a marriage that looks perfect to outsiders. And you know that none of that fills the void. But when you taste true communion with Christ, when you sit in his shadow and allow him to nourish you, something happens. That hunger of the soul that you tried to satisfy in 1,000 different ways finally finds its food. It's in that moment of prayer when you're not asking for anything, not complaining about anything, just there, resting in his presence. It's when you read a verse you've read 100 times, that this time the words enter your heart like honey. It's when you're worshipping and tears come, not from sadness, but from relief, because you finally found where you belong. This communion doesn't just happen in your perfectly planned devotional moments. It happens at 3 in the morning when you're up with the baby, and instead of getting frustrated, You whisper a prayer of gratitude for that intimate moment, just the two of you, in the silence of the house. It happens in the drive-through line when you close your eyes for a second and say, "Thank you for this day. Thank you for strength. Thank you for being real." It happens in that difficult conversation with your teenage son when you don't have the answers, but you have peace because you know God knows this boy better than you do. It happens on that night when you and your husband finally talk for real, without distractions, and you realize God is there, between you, restoring what was broken. The woman who tastes the sweetness of this communion can't live any other way anymore. She's experienced too much to go back. She's felt too much to settle for less. She discovered there's a banquet prepared for her. Not in the distant future, but now, today, at this exact moment. And when you taste that love, when you truly experience it in its fullness, you realize something revolutionary. You don't need to try to deserve it anymore. You don't need to try to be good enough anymore. You don't need to carry that weight that you're never enough anymore, because He's already declared you enough. He's already chosen you. He already loved you before you even knew you needed to be loved. And that love, that sweet, deep, transforming love is yours. Not because of what you do, but because of who He is. So we've arrived here, you and I, after this conversation about hearing, seeing, feeling, and tasting God's love. And now comes the most important question of all. What are you going to do with this? Because here's the truth. You can close this video and go back to your routine as if nothing happened. You can let this message become just another beautiful thing you heard, but never truly experienced. Or you can do something completely different. You can stop right now. Close your eyes for a moment. It doesn't matter where you are. In the kitchen, in the car, lying in bed, hiding in the bathroom, because it's the only place where you can get 5 minutes of peace. Just stop and ask yourself, do I really know this love? Not theoretically, not because I heard about it at church, but deeply, viscerally, in a way that changed who I am. Can you feel God's presence right now? Can you sense that He's here, closer than you imagine, waiting to wrap every broken piece of you with a love that doesn't make sense, but is more real than anything in this world? What's keeping you from resting in that love now? Is it guilt over what you did or didn't do? Is it the feeling that you first need to fix your life, organize your things, solve your problems? Is it simply the fear that if you stop trying to control everything, everything will fall apart? Let me tell you something that can change everything. You don't need to fix yourself before coming to Him. You don't need to be well to seek the one who makes you well. You don't need to have answers to bring your questions. You can come exactly as you are. Tired, broken, confused, angry, desperate. He receives you just like that. And more than that, He wants to be your refuge. Not occasionally, but constantly. He wants to be the place you run when everything's falling apart. He wants to be the voice that calms when your mind is screaming. He wants to be the strength that lifts you when you can't take another step. But here's the secret. You need to let Him. You need to stop trying to deserve and start receiving. You need to open the hands that are clutching everything you think can save you, and let Him fill those hands with something infinitely better. Himself. Imagine waking up tomorrow not with that mental list of everything you need to do, but with that deep awareness that you are loved. Imagine facing that challenge not with fear, but with the certainty that you're not alone. Imagine ending the day not feeling guilty about everything you didn't manage to do, but grateful for having been sustained in every moment. This isn't fantasy. This is the life of someone who truly experiences God's love. Not a perfect life, not a life without problems, but a transformed life. A life where the same tasks have different meaning, where the same challenges are faced with different strength, where the same tears are wiped by hands you know are there. So today, now make a choice. Choose not just to know about God's love, but to experience it. Choose not just to hear about His presence, but to feel it. Choose not just to believe He exists, but to rest in who He is. And let that love change you. Let it transform how you see yourself, not as a woman who constantly fails, but as a deeply loved daughter. Let it transform how you see your family, not as a burden, but as a gift. Let it transform how you see each day, not as a marathon you need to survive, but as an opportunity to walk hand in hand with the one who created you. Because in the end, that's what matters. Not how many tasks you crossed off the list, not whether your house was organized or dinner was perfect, but whether you lived loved, whether you lived knowing that each breath is a gift, whether you lived in the sweet awareness that the Creator of the universe knows you by name and chooses to be with you. If this message touched something inside you today, I want to know. Leave a comment telling me which part of this conversation spoke most to your heart. What do you most need to hear from God today? Let's walk this journey together of discovering the love that transforms everything. And if you want to keep growing in this intimacy with God, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because this is just the beginning. God has so much more to show you, so much more to give you, so much more to reveal about who He is and who you are to Him. May you leave here not just knowing, but feeling, deeply feeling the sweet love of God.